Good afternoon and good morning. This is Ethan Perry from Loyalty360, welcoming you to a very special episode of Leaders in Customer Loyalty Industry Voices. We're doing something a little different this week, and today's episode offers you a look inside an insightful panel discussion recorded live at Loyalty Expo, our annual gathering of the best minds in customer loyalty, experience, and engagement. Now, normally these sessions are reserved for conference attendees and Loyalty360 members only, but this discussion was too good not to share with our entire audience. In this session, titled Customer Loyalty Today, Perspectives from Loyalty360 Supplier Members and Sponsors, we explore how leading solution providers are helping brands rise to the challenge of creating meaningful loyalty in a rapidly evolving landscape. At Loyalty360, we believe that driving lasting customer loyalty through engaging experiences is not only a competitive differentiator, it's one of the smartest and most sustainable marketing strategies available today. Unfortunately, many brands are still navigating how to execute the right technologies and processes in a measurable and effective way. This panel brings together three of our most forward-thinking supplier members and longtime Loyalty360 partners, each with a unique lens on the industry. Nirali Patel, Senior Product Manager at Forder, shares her expertise in balancing fraud prevention with seamless customer experiences. Don Smith, Chief Consulting Officer at Capillary Technologies, lends his strategic voice to program design, data storytelling, and personalized engagement. And Jonathan Silver, CEO of Engage People, brings decades of leadership in loyalty and tech with a deep focus on connecting loyalty currencies to real-world value. The discussion is led by none other than Loyalty360 CEO Mark Johnson, and he does a wonderful job of bringing all of the most relevant topics in the industry to the fore and getting their opinions. Together, they share what it takes to become best in class in today's loyalty ecosystem, touching on personalization, emerging innovations, economic pressures, evolving client needs, and how you can shift loyalty strategy beyond just points and promotions. With all that being said, let's dive into the conversation.
So this is a very unique panel. We have three individuals who are in different facets of the customer loyalty kind of ecosphere. First off, we have Don Smith. He is the Chief Consulting Officer at Capillary. Don, you want to introduce yourself, talk a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, good, the mic's on. Hey everyone, good morning, thanks for being here. My favorite conference of the circuit. I'm the Chief Consulting Officer at Capillary Technologies. My responsibilities are threefold. I run research, analytics, and strategy, program design, and optimization, and we believe at Capillary those three things need to be combined and intermingled. And very excited to be here and talk loyalty today.
And next we have Nirali Patel. She is from Forder.
Hi, I'm Nirali. I'm a senior product manager at Forder, which is a trust platform. So we're trying to answer the question, who is this person and can we trust them? And I specifically work on our abuse prevention product, which is essentially kind of the gray area of fraud of, is this person abusing our business policies?
And next we have Jonathan Silver. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Engage People.
Hey, I'm Jonathan from Engage. We're a loyalty technology company. We're basically the guts and the engine behind a lot of programs. We don't do a lot on this consulting stuff, but we do more of the enablement and getting people to market faster and quicker.
Okay. Jonathan, first question is for you. When you look at customer loyalty programs, great programs, average programs, not so good programs. When you look at the best-in-class programs, the programs are doing it well. What are some attributes you see that define a best-in-class customer loyalty program?
Sure, so it's very different depending on who you are, who your target audience is. And we get asked this question a lot, especially from clients. And I've explained my favorite loyalty program is my coffee shop down the road because they know me. So I walk in, and if I'm standing in line, they'll make my coffee for me. They know what I'm having, and they'll even say, pay me next week, it's busy. That doesn't scale, right? And then on the other side, when we talk to, when you look at customers, I'm going to pick on a Canadian example. There's a drugstore in Canada called Shoppers Drug Mart. They actually own the marketplace today. Their loyalty program is spectacular. It's merchant funded, and so because they're getting Gillette and everyone else to pay it, but they are a data first company, and so they've got down to the point where they know exactly who you are, what are you buying, and will send out offers that are meaningful and relevant to you. And so it's very much around making sure that the communication to the customer is relevant, the offer is relevant. And then what that is completely different depending on what industry you're in and the frequency of your shopper. So we always talk to our customers going, what does your member want that's going to help you engage? What can you afford? Because this is still an ROI. Everyone forgets that loyalty programs are actually supposed to drive incremental revenue and should be a profit center. And then what makes sense in that world. And it's very different by segment. And so we always look at and we'll give you examples later on in other customers where we've done completely different things that have driven results for the customer. So it's very much dependent on who you are and who your members are.
But the key there is understanding that customer, having that one-to-one relationship, and using technology in the larger environments that can enable that, correct?
Yeah, I don't like the word one-to-one because it's impossible. Yes. You got 30 million customers, you're not going to have 30 million relationships. So it's very much about identifying segments and making it relevant and using technology to drive a relevant message back to somebody that is meaningful.
Great. Nirali, you're very unique because when you're dealing with customer loyalty programs, customer experience programs, you're looking at it from a fraud perspective, right? So fraud, having points disappear, having account takeovers, that can have a very deleterious impact on the customer loyalty program, right? So when you look at it from a best practices perspective, what are you looking at?
Definitely. We look at it kind of throughout the customer journey. So what you touched on, kind of what we think of account takeover. So what's happening at sign up, what's happening at login. But even if you are able to prevent those bad actors there, some will always get through, or they might change, your genuine customers might change their behavior. And they'll also be trying to kind of commit abuse at the point of checkout, take advantage of your points or any promotions that you're offering. They could even do that post-purchase. So at the point of making a return or trying to get compensation based on how their order or their service went. So we take a very holistic approach when combating fraud and abuse, especially with loyalty points.
And Don, when you look at best in class from a customer loyalty program today, what are you seeing? What does that mean?
Well, I agree. One size doesn't fit all, but we get a lot of the business we do is we go in and we pop the hood for an existing program and they say, tell me if it's working or not. And we have this belief that the rising tide of loyalty has to lift all boats for a good program. It's not about how many features or benefits or perks or things you have pulsing, although those are important. The real litmus test of being best in class is, number one, when I talk to your members and your customers, do they understand the program? Are they aware of it? If you're offering benefits and perks, do they use them? And is it easy for them to use them? And if the answers to those questions are yes, and you're building an emotional connection, you have a very good program. But the converse of that is you have to look at the incrementality and the engineering of the program and ask, is this changing behavior? Is it driving adjacencies into the brand, deeper breadth and depth for the customer? And are we really taking advantage of the assets of the loyalty program to drive the entire constellation of desired behaviors that make customers more profitable? And if you're doing that in a cool way, it really is win-win. And what's interesting about the fraud point, which I think you're right, people will play, we don't want illegitimate fraud, but one of the things we know about programs that are best in class is often the members and focus groups will tell us, man, I played them because I used my double points day at the same time that things were on sale and I had 2 reward certificates and I totally played them. And I want them to feel that way. I want them to feel like they took advantage and exploited the environment and that they're winning because the brand is winning as well when that happens. And a well-engineered program is doing that. It's letting everyone win.
You mentioned understanding the program. We do a study every year, the State of Customer Loyalty research paper. Last year, 79% of the brands were looking to redo or enhance their program. So they're adding tiers, changing tiers. Understanding the program is very important, correct? And you find that brands today have programs that are too complex or too simple because there is a great deal of fluidity in the program structures.
If that's, I'll let others also. But yes, so I think here's the thing. Programs should evolve and they should have elements of choice. But as we look at these often, one of the things that we'll find, we just fielded a round of syndicated research on emotional loyalty, and we asked very specific questions about the programs. And we would pull up the list of benefits, like, have you taken advantage of the free alterations in this? Have you used your double points bonus? Have you gone in? And a lot of consumers are not aware of those things, and we're actually like, no, I didn't even know that I had that. And I think those are the insights that if you're not making it easy for folks to use, and if you're not treating the point of checkout as a real-time inflection point, and having a POS associate say, you have a really big purchase today, and you have a triple points bonus in your wallet. You think you might want to use it? And customers have very clearly said you should do that. And I think so you don't have to worry about a program being too complex if it doesn't appear complex to the member. If you're rising up and making it very easy and very digitized and helping facilitate the interaction of everything in your loyalty set, that's a good program. But if you're propagating 25 different benefits and perks and partner experiences and placing the onus on the member to research them, you're probably going to have a problem, because it's no shock to anyone here. Most members don't think about loyalty the way we as loyalty professionals think about loyalty.
Absolutely. And Raleigh, you mentioned, talked about some things you help brands with regard to fraud. Is there a kind of a best-in-class brands that have best-in-class customer loyalty programs? Are they looking at fraud different? Do they have leverage tools like you have that kind of mitigate some of that challenge? I mean, what are you seeing from a fraud or perspective?
Yeah, definitely. I think, in the last couple of years as things have shifted in the macroeconomic environment, loyalty programs, one, I'm seeing a lot of non-traditional brands start creating them, or the ones that have existing relook at what they're offering. So, everything from preventing account takeover, but also making sure that we don't have any false positives there. Customer retention has become a big focus, and so we want to make sure that we're not blocking anyone good. The last thing we need is the CEO's child getting blocked and we get an angry phone call. Like, that still happens. As we start utilizing influencers with Gen Z and millennial shoppers, that has become a big part of what we need to protect. And, my merchants will come to me and say, hey, we want to launch this new program, or we want to make adjustments. Go poke holes in it. What are we not thinking about? What are we missing? How does this get taken advantage of?
Jonathan, when you look at your clients right now, when you look at best in class, how are you helping them take maybe average programs to make them more best in class? Do you have an example of a brand that you've taken from average to more effective, more successful?
Yeah, so it's about coming back to what you said about making it relevant. So we have a client in Australia who is a health insurance company. So for my American friends, it's a public healthcare in Australia, but you have this private healthcare overlay, and the rates are fixed. And so their issue is retention. How do I keep? Because there's indifference between the three providers. And you're also limited on what you can do from pricing and stuff. So they had a loyalty program. You earned points for paying your bill on time, and you redeemed your points for gift cards and stuff, and it wasn't working. And so we actually went, hey, your economics are driven by having healthier members. So they're paying a premium, but if they're healthy, they're going to claim less. So we did an integration with, it's bizarre, it's an Australian company. We had 3 Canadian providers in this one with a health tracking app. And so you tracked your Apple Watch and your Samsung Watch, and it tracked your steps and your activity. And based upon actually being active and healthy, we reduced your premiums. And we're only allowed to reduce them so much, so now we've added on back some merchandise and being able to redeem your points for gym memberships, health food stores, and stuff like that. It's all about being healthy. And it went from the number 3 program in the country to the market leader, expanding now into New Zealand. Unbelievable member engagement and statistics. They've introduced all the badging as well. And so you're competing with your friends to stay, like you're on a Peloton app and you've got all your badging on how you're competing. And the biggest impact has been not even on retention, but on their claim rate. So the more active customers are healthier, they're claiming less. And so there's this massive ROI where we took what was a traditional, hey, do this, get points, into a lifestyle engagement. And so it's been a great success.
When you look at the health and wellness programs, kind of a health enthusiast myself, how do you look at that measurability? What are you seeing kind of the change in the behavior? Are they, is it just that they're claiming less and they become more profitable to the brand, or are there other attributes you're seeing?
You know, it's a good when you can go around and say how members are healthier, right? So you've got a very good PR and marketing good feel behind that as well, where, hey, if you join Medibank's program, you will be healthier. Yeah. In addition to the economic benefits of them, because their claim rate's the lowest now in the marketplace. And so, it's been generally so well received, the others are starting to copy it now. Okay. Which is like, it's good. Good when you copy it, right?
Nirali, when you look over the last 12 to 18 months, customer loyalty technologies are changing, but also the types of fraud customer loyalty programs are seeing is changing dramatically, right? We've had a number of sessions over the last couple of years about fraud, more organized syndicate type fraud. What are you seeing, and how are you kind of helping brands address some of that kind of rising differences in fraud?
Yeah, definitely. I think the two biggest ones that we've seen in the last year or two have been returns fraud and item not received fraud. So people claiming that they didn't get their item. Those have been really spiking in the last couple of years. And so merchants kind of naturally want to be able to, or want to have to reduce their policies, make them less customer friendly. But then at the same time, you're going to start losing customers that way. So we've been able to, since we have our identity graph and be able to know and truly trust this customer, we can work together with our merchants to say, hey, we can adjust your returns policy, but only for this small segment, your 1% to 5% who are your actual abusers, and let's still keep this super generous policy for the rest of them. So that segmentation is still very key, and being able to rely on your data set to ensure that, hey, we do have the right people in each bucket.
And Don, over the last 12 to 18 months, disparate technology growing in customer loyalty MarTech. What are you seeing from a technology perspective, from a customer loyalty perspective? Is it growing? Is the integrations going well? Brands having challenges?
Yeah, I think the expectations are higher than ever. Probably the one area, this won't surprise anyone, the term AI isn't new. But I think in the past year and a half to 2 years, brands have just become more real. And the expectations are much more concrete. Going, hey, I know that this technology exists. How is it integrated into product? And so one of the things we've done with our product team is literally every quarter we're introducing new AI features. And what's interesting is, I'm a statistician by training. Predictive analytics has been around forever as part of AI. It's really not new, but what is new and become amazing is generative AI. And I think you're going to see every loyalty platform having components where it's just easier to be self-service. What we hear from marketers now is, I want to go in and use voice prompts or just put in prompts to build a campaign and to do audience selection and to customize write reports. And that's what, it works really well. And I think that's where the tools are getting much better and much better. And in turn, that has freed up data scientists, whether on the agency side or on the brand side, to go deeper and to do more meaningful analyses and really move the needle. So I think the number one thing we're hearing is make it easier. I expect AI to help me as a marketer without a specific skill set like SQL or like something else to be able to go in and do the things on the fly that I need to do so others can go deeper and do more.
Okay. And when you look at the clients you're working with, what are they asking for today that may not have been asking for 12 to 18 months ago, either from a program or technology perspective?
Yeah, certainly integrations. And I think we're now at this realization of truth that any digitized touch point with a member or a customer, that data needs to be captured and modeled and dimensionalized in a very simple way that flows into a single source of truth for the customer. And what used to be like, hey, we'd be doing a project, we're getting our clickstream data tied into our CDP that looks at the transactional data, and those were big and innovative. Every one of those integrations is now table stakes. And the more folks with whom you're pre-integrated with your product to get in and move faster, the better off you're going to be. And so I really do think integration focus on that and coming up with a meaningful way to model that data so we're not drinking from a fire hose, but a marketer is getting what she or he needs to drive a better campaign and generate a more actionable insight. That's really been the focus.
Raleigh, what are brands asking for of a forwarder today that they may not have been asking for 12 to 18 months ago?
Yeah, to actually go off of what, Don, you were talking about with Gen AI, that has been such a hot topic with our merchants in the last couple of months. So a big one is agentic AI. So these are where we can hire bots or agents to do our shopping for us. And traditionally for Forder, that's been easy to stop because it's always been bad actors. But now you and I can go and hire a bot to go shopping for us, and it's totally legitimate. And so now it's on Forder to go figure out, is this bot a good bot or is it a bad bot? So on that side is definitely a big focus for us. And then merchants also come to us and ask, hey, what's everyone else doing? Is my reseller rate the same in my vertical? Is my refunds rate bad? Like where do I fall? What should my thresholds be? What are my competitors doing? Where do I fall against them? And so there is an expectation for us to be able to provide that benchmarking since we work with so many different retailers.
Okay. And Jonathan, over the last 12 to 18 months, what are your brands coming to you and asking for, especially the more successful programs? What are they asking of?
So the one that finally is they're now viewing their loyalty program as part of their actual full marketing campaigns. And so loyalty programs for years sat on the side. Now we're seeing, hey, we want all your content. We want to grab it in an API. We want to have one message to the customer. And so even from a tech stack point of view, all of our segmentation and offers get put into an API that the customer will consume into their own marketing collateral and their own marketing mediums. And it's everything if you're a bank and you're logging into your banking portal to have your loyalty offer right there, which is now segmented and customized and as part of your banking experience, not as part of a rewards program. And so we're seeing that everywhere from banks to retailers where single message, a lot more using my media spend as part of my loyalty program to drive better results. So we're seeing all of that. On the AI side, we're seeing a little bit of, kind of what you had spoken about, using it as tools to help. We're not seeing it well implemented yet for using AI to create offers yet. We're still working on that, like how do we get AI to write the content for us? We've got some good tools that are doing it. It's a little scary still, it's not quite where it needs to be. So using AI tools to make life easier for administrative tasks still is the first phase, and we'll start to get to generative real AI in whenever, a couple of years down the road.
We all know it's kind of a challenging economic environment right now. Tariffs, no tariffs, triple tariffs, travel, no travel. What are your brands asking you in regard to the loyalty programs? We see, we meet with brands every week on different topics, and more brands are starting to truly lean into their customer loyalty programs, putting more into the program versus the acquisition program. Is that something you're seeing, and what are they asking for, and what are you advising in this from an economic uncertainty perspective?
So they're all asking us what we know. I'm like, no idea. Tariffs today, they're not yet today. And so there's a lot of uncertainty. And so it's very much what can we control? How do we drive costs out of our system is the biggest one. You know, we've got what can we do from a customer acquisition? Because that's still, if you think about, if you're a retailer, what do I care about? How do I get someone new in the door? How do I keep them? How do I keep them coming back and make them profitable? So one of the things we are seeing is a huge uptake on our Pay with Points platform. So it's the ability to take a bank's credit card points and use them as a form of payment at a retailer. So Amazon launched this. Everyone's used Amazon Shop with Points sometime in the last 10 years. And so now we're rapidly expanding that to other retailers. And it's one of my favorite lines I used in a meeting. It's all about opium. It's other people's money. And so it's the ability to actually use, hey, somebody's got hotel points or credit card points, and I'm going to use them as a form of payment on my ecosystem. So I've brought a customer in who's free because the bank's doing the marketing for me. The transaction cost is lower, and now I've integrated them into my loyalty program. So I now own them. And so what's happened from economic uncertainty, those projects have bubbled to the top because it's been, holy, I can get more customers in for free. And now it's up to me to actually keep them, and I can't do anything about tariffs, sorry. Yeah.
And Raleigh, when you look at how are you advising brands? Obviously, you're not advising them on the strategy, the program, necessarily the technology. But with regard to loyalty, fraud, employee gaming. What are you advising them? How should they be handling it? How should they be looking at it in this kind of arena of economic uncertainty, right? Because there's going to be more opportunities for fraud. There's going to be more opportunities for gaming. There's going to be more opportunities to have returns, especially if you're qualifying for a certain tier in the program. How are you advising them, and what are you seeing?
Yeah, I think we're advising that you can keep your loyalty program for the majority of your customers. I think right now there is this inkling to kind of slim down what you're offering, but then you're also trying to keep these customers. And so often we're really sitting down and almost doing the math together of how can we keep this program here and just stop it for the small percentage of your abusers? How do we still make this transaction profitable? We want to offer this really great promo, or we're launching a loyalty program, so we want to make a big splash. How do we still do that yet prevent the abuse? And again, like, that is often just a really small percentage of your customer base doing those bad actions. So we don't want to have to get rid of our generous returns policy. Maybe just for those abusers or those borderline customers, we make them return in store, or we only give them their refund once that item is inspected at the warehouse. Everyone else still gets an instant refund. Let's not take that away. So we have been saying that let's not, I know everything's kind of scary right now, but let's not go to the other extreme where we're getting rid of these programs.
And Don, when you look at price sensitivity, some of the challenges from an economic perspective, what are you seeing, or more importantly, how are you advising clients to kind of get through this kind of uncertain time?
Well, there are a number of things, and one of the things I think the point is, don't get rid of the loyalty program, right? Don't bite your nose to spite your face, because we all know macroeconomically that in periods of downturns, even when sales go down and footfall may be attriting, loyalty programs stop the hemorrhaging. And so one of the things we need to do is lean into loyalty, but maybe try to work in more high perceived value, but lower cost benefits that are truly appreciated by members. And we're constantly pushing that line. But it's really interesting right now. So we are increasingly using loyalty programs to do voice of customer for focus groups, for IDIs, for quantitative research. And so one of the brands we're working with right now is dealing with it. They don't know what's going to happen with tariffs. And they're dealing with some really frightening possibilities about supply chain and about inventory and about price. And so one of the things we've done is reached out to their members, and we did some focus groups and said, we'd like to talk to you. If these things happen, how should the brand respond? Should we cut inventory? Would you tolerate a 22% price increase? And you start to get perspectives from the members. And we're putting those, and I think more and more we don't know what's going to happen necessarily, but you can anticipate, and members who love your program will collaborate with you and give you good advice. And any changes that you do make can be posted with a mantra of, you spoke and we reacted. You told us what to do, and here's how we've changed things up. And I think more and more of listening to customers in periods of uncertainty with this type of vacillation is going to pay some pretty big dividends.
What's the next big thing in customer loyalty? I know last year we talked about hyper-personalization. Everyone was very fixated on hyper-personalization, didn't quite get there. What's next, do you think?
Yeah, I'll riff on the hyper-personalization, because we're at the hyper. We've done that. People are using predictive AI to send too many emails and too many messages that don't meet the requirement of true, authentic personalization. But I think there's a marriage. And the next best thing that we're pushing and testing with a number of clients is clienteling meets hyper-personalization. And what I mean by that is, we know that we're losing footfall in stores, right? And that more folks are shopping online. But to the extent that you can take human beings with whom we interact, whether it's a call service agent or it's a person at the POS, and arm her or him with some data, and more specifically some calls to action that they can serve up to a customer in real time, the better off you're going to be. And for example, one of our retail brands had said, no, the problem is our customers are, our sales associates only last, they don't even make it a year. We have such high turnover, and all the better to do clienteling through data-driven offers, because one of the things we found is at a point of sale register, one of the campaigns we have is, oh my gosh, I'm getting a message today. This is the 10th time that you've come in since you've joined the program. My manager's actually authorized me to give you one of these free things, and it can just be a simple product. And they said our employees will never do it, the employees have reported that it's the favorite part of their job. You know, they deal with so much negativity. They love to do things to delight the member and the customer. And so that's the next big thing. And the other side of the coin is you're going to see more B2E programs where brands realize if I want to keep employees engaged and happy and playing in the program, create a loyalty program just for your associates too. And the more they delight customers, the more you reward them and get them invested in the program. Those are I think it's hyper-personalization meets clienteling meets B2E.
Okay. Nirali, I know you don't necessarily work in the customer loyalty strategy space, but what's the next big thing that Forder's working on from a customer loyalty perspective to help them? Well, what's the next big thing in fraud detection?
Yeah, so AI is definitely a big part of it. Kind of the other is a lot of my merchants come to me doing very unique brand collaborations with loyalty programs. So we're all used to the kind of Delta Uber partnerships, but now one of my luxury handbag retailers did a pop-up with a taco shop in New York City. And it's like, what is this combination? These are two totally separate customer bases, but it was a really successful pop-up. And they come to us and they say, hey, we want to offer this program to our customers. How do we do this? How do we make sure that this partner that we're going to work with also has a trustworthy customer base and who they're wanting to offer this promo to? And it's a conversation on both sides. So I find merchants internally want to make sure that their base and the number of accounts they have are legitimate users. We don't want to be sending a free gift with purchase 10 times to the same person, but it becomes even more so when these dual partnerships are happening, because now you're not only kind of using your own money and assets, but you also have this partnership that you want to hopefully grow. So that is kind of a more unique program that people come to us with.
That's awesome. It's great to hear. And Jonathan, what's the next big thing you see in customer loyalty?
So we're seeing a couple of things, and just building on the POS integration. It's the point where your customers are engaging and your employees. And so where we've had a lot of success is actually integrating the message right into the POS. So when the cashier at this point is checking you out and they'll go, hey, here's your offer. And so you worry about turnover, you don't have to worry about training. It prompts up to them, they have to click a button that says yes or no. And they're reading off a screen. And the same thing for a member when they're actually tapping on their card to pay, we'll actually pop a message onto the POS, which says, hey, do you want to use your, I'm looking for John, he's not in here, one of our clients. Do you want to use your BOA rewards for this? So it's right integrated, no training, right into the process. And then the other thing is partnerships. We are seeing, because the tech stack is now available, brands going, hey, I'm going to go take these banks' customers, build up that partnership. It's a single integration, and I'm done. And the cost of that has plummeted. So when I first started out, there was millions of dollars, and now it's 3-month integration, and you're done. And so we're seeing those two things, and then we'll see AI actually take hold at some point in the next couple of years. I just don't know when.
Okay. Final question here, very relevant to everyone attending this conference. When you look at kind of the way things are right now, what do you see as top priorities for chief marketing officers or the individuals who run customer loyalty programs going through this year into next year? What do you see as a top priority or top priorities?
Oh, it's just managing expenses and driving revenue. It's the same. Nothing's changed. It's just got a little bit more hectic, right? Still, at the end of the day, I need customers to come in my door. I need them to transact. I need them to come back with the most cost-effective way. And so it's what technology stacks and what opportunities do I have to actually drive efficiencies in that process. But uncertainty just makes it more heightened. It doesn't change the fundamental goal of everybody. It's just we got to get it done quicker.
Okay. And Nirali, when you look at the top priorities for CMOs, people who run customer loyalty programs, what are those for the rest of this year?
I'm going to follow Jonathan, same thing. It's often just measuring the effectiveness of a campaign. Like, I want to do this generous promo. I want to do a free gift with purchase. How do we make sure that we're not spending millions of dollars sending it to the same people or sending it to bad actors? We want to really be able to trust our own customer data and make sure that these are legitimate people.
Okay. And Don, we'll wrap it up with you.
Great. Agree with all of that. And I think one of the things, as we're focused on retained member velocity and making sure that programs are driving the right desired behaviors amongst the members and amongst customers that really make a difference at the bottom line, that has to be the focal point. But the indirect piece we push with all of our clients is you gotta commit to cultivating emotional connections with your customers and your members and measuring that and making sure that the things you put into market are well received and are jibing in the calculus of the member where they feel like you're appreciating them. And you've gotta commit to tracking that because it predicts those other outcomes that occur.
Well, how was that? That was really good, right? Great insight from Don, Nurali, and Jonathan.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Leaders in Customer Loyalty Industry Voices. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can always find more thought leadership and interviews like this one at loyalty360.org. This includes exclusive content for members, upcoming webinars, and our Loyalty Management digital magazine. Be sure to come check us out and reach out if you have any loyalty-related questions.